Welcome in to the fall sports season finale of Inside Loveland Tigers Athletics here on lovelandtigers.org and ESPN Media powered by Sidearm Sports. My name is Jason Griefer. Once again, we're joined by Loveland AD Brian Conatser. Brian, good to have you back here on the program. And let's jump right into it. And let's talk about our runners here with our cross-country teams because, boy, what a season they have had and are continuing to have. Of course, they sweep the ECC championships, the boys winning it for the first time ever. The girls have won it for the second time in 3 years. They've not stopped there. You know, the girls wind up going to districts as district champions and put out the lowest team score this century. The boys continue to do it as well. They continue to deliver the goods. So I'm just curious, how do you begin to categorize all of the history that both of these teams are making and can still make potentially going forward and potentially having some state champions?
Yeah, first of all, Jason, good morning. Thanks for having me, and good morning to Tiger Nation. And yeah, I'll just piggyback on what you're saying. Boys cross country, girls cross country. What a fantastic season. And historically, you've made some points on it. The boys, it's their first ECC title. They had some FAVC Buckeye titles early in the 2000s. Obviously, they've sent teams on to the next level for regionals and to state as well. But what a special team this is in the near current times as opposed to the early 2000s when you got kids like Ryan Chevalier, who's just running out of his mind. He's placing third in the ECC, and he got second in districts this past weekend. He's got some great support. Brady Steiner, who placed seventh in the ECC and fifth in the districts. Caden Dyer, who was eighth in the ECC. You've got Nick Huff, who placed 11th and third, 11th in the ECC, third in the districts. So, I mean, there is a lot of, I don't want to leave Grant Hansen out too, who placed 15th. So you got a lot of support, a lot of players around each other that are supportive. There's a top five, but you can see the top seven run. And, those kids are all supporting one another and displacing other teams and placed second to St. X this past week. And so they're running well. We're ready for Troy. We'll get our bus out there to practice at some point, but they are ready to go. On the girls' side of things, again, you've got, top five and then seven. And those girls are changing positions all the time. In the ECC, Emmy Sager got first. In the districts, Jesse Gibbons came in first. So a lot of support with one another. Allie Colgate is coming up strong as well. And so you've got the girls that are finishing first, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth at a districts. That is incredible. So, Coach Nestor and his staff have got the girls and the boys both primed, ready to go. They are both excited to head to Troy, and they're staying healthy, and they're keeping their minds right, and they're out running, practicing, taking care of business, obviously breaking records on our end. I know there's a lot of numbers that we're going to have to put on the banner in the gym this upcoming transition between fall and winter. So we're excited to do that. And, the boys, both boys and girls for the first time ever have a solid chance for both teams to take a team to the state tournament. That's how strong we are as a team and individuals. So really excited about that opportunity.
If there's ever such thing as good problems to have, it is adding some things to banners and altering the record books, because both teams have just obliterated some of the numbers there from years past. So we'll be keeping an eye on them, and who knows, the next time we reconvene here in the winter podcast, hopefully we've got a couple of state champions to talk about in cross country. So best of luck to them as they move forward here. Let's move on here on the podcast. Let's talk about your golf teams, and we'll start with the boys first. Ended team play in the sectionals. We did see Joe Jankowski get through to district play, wound up shooting a 78 at Beaver Creek. This was a loaded district field at Beaver Creek. 78 is nothing to shake a stick about, but he winds up 4 strokes shy of making it to state. That's how good the field was. At 74 was the final individual qualifier for state. So I'm just curious, as Joe's career is winding down at Loveland, how would you evaluate his career, and how do you evaluate where the program was when he came in to where it is now as he's leaving?
Yeah, and I'll say something about Joe. I mean, he started off with a triple bogey, I think, on that first tee. So he had to fight himself back all the way, and he did a great job of that. I think he ended up shooting, if I'm right, it ended up being like a 78 or some whatever it was. But then on the back nine, he ended up, doing a great job. And I think he missed it by a total of 3 or 4 strokes. So way to, be hard nosed, overcome adversity. Obviously the weather conditions were a little harsh, and that got him, but he's a true, a champion, Tiger, and he came back, battled back. Anthony Moran was in a shootout at sectional, so he just came just a tad shy for making it to meet with Joe. But again, that's a sophomore, but he's out there competing. And you asked where we are now, and we're going. Obviously, Joe was the leader of this team, having all that experience and just being the calm, collect, nose to the grindstone kind of kid that he was. The team behind him moving forward, I mean, it's a young team. I mean, we have, a junior high team as well that is very good. Our JV team was outstanding. They were undefeated this entire season. So you've got all this youth and some on varsity as well coming up and moving on. So it is going to be, that is going to be a big competition to make that varsity team next year for the boys. So I think we finished second overall, and we're going to look to reclaim that title once again. I think these kids are very good, have a lot of experience, and coach well. And we're excited to see obviously what the next year brings as well.
And not just next year, but the next 2 or 3 years, given how much strong youth you have coming up and the valuable experience and leadership that Joe provided, a big way to help them going into the future. Over on the girls' side, they finished up in sectional play and finished in the top 5 of the ECC. And that's a pretty good accomplishment given how strong the ECC is in golf. Similar kind of story with your tennis program as well. A very, very strong year for them. They also finished in the top 5 of the ECC. Had a couple of weeks now to kind of reassess things as far as girls golf and tennis goes. So I'm curious in that perspective, what your conversations have been like with the coaches of each, and where you feel they are as far as the off-season programs go to take that next step going into next fall.
Yeah, well, with tennis, we started off, it was a little slow, and boy, did they just come on heavy and started working really well, but together as the doubles and our singles court, which kind of changed from time to time throughout. But, those seniors, those doubles, it seems like we always have very strong doubles teams, and it's exciting to watch them play simply because and I brought this up in the past, with Katie Beasley, Ryan Eversole, Josie Early, Macy Klosterman, they're multiple sport athletes. So it's all about angles and it's all about speed. And they end up doing a fantastic job supporting one another. And both of those doubles team made it to the quarterfinals. So that's a lot of promise. Yeah, we're going to graduate a couple, but some of them are coming back. There'll be someone in to help with that as well, another multiple sport athlete. And, Sarah Hyatt and Grace Hott, Allie Gender, they did a great job on the single courts, making through, to the second round. There's our JV team is very strong. They ended up taking second in their big tournament. And then just the strength that they have in numbers is so strong. So I think they're going to complement, our singles court very well. I think there's going to be a big challenge for the courts coming up moving forward. So, I know Coach Capsicavage, she's gonna start them off in the summer and work well with them. So we're excited about the strength that's coming back for next season as well.
It's been a lot of a similar refrain, a lot of young talent up and coming here. It just continues to build that depth across all of our sports here. And as good of an example of that is your girls soccer program, sharing the ECC crown with Milford, the only 2 teams to go unbeaten in the league. You're going to get Oak Hills in a sectional final tonight, and potentially we'll see either Beaver Creek or Bellbrook in a district final on the 28th. But we can't help but think back to last year and notice that it's the same Oak Hills team that took you out a year ago off of a tremendous season your team was having, and then Oak Hills got you in the same round of the tournament. And so a big chance for revenge here. So I'm curious there, what was your reaction and what was the team's reaction when they saw they were going to get Oak Hills one more time here? And also, as we're wrapping up the podcast here, is this team good enough in your mind to make a regional?
Yeah. So yeah, Jason, to your point, I think we knew Oak Hills was there the entire time. I think that was deliberate. I think we knew we were going to face it today, and you're right. It is redemption time. We remember it very well. I know the coaching staff does, and the girls as well. So yeah, so congratulations to everyone for on the program for a shared title, the ECC. But now it's the postseason, and we're going in there very focused. Obviously Ava Dudek, leads the conference and saves. We have an extremely strong defense. I think that's been known about us. Our keeper, our defense, our sets that we try to use to score. There's no question that we're strong with that. And if you look at the assists are Ella James, Sophia Kapsakavage, Brooke Hatfield. But we're assisting, we're putting it in the middle for opportunities. But when it comes to winning tonight and moving forward to what you said, to regionals, it's going to come down to goals and points. We've got a scoring by committee with Leah Godey, Megan Davis, Abby Polakowski, Sophia Kapsakavage, Alexis Harden, and Charlotte Gordon. All those girls can score. None of them are leading the conference stats. They all show that they have that ability. And if you come to our game and watch, we're pressing, but we're not getting into the back of the net. And that's what they know they have to do. That's the area of improvement. If we want to make it further, if we want to beat Oak Hills tonight, that's what we're going to have to do. And they're prepared to do that.
It's interesting how they, as you said, you had that feeling it was probably going to be Oak Hills no matter what as things shook out. But, they had to take care of business to get here. You're here as well. So that's a big opportunity there setting up for the team who's had a fantastic season any way you shake a stick at it. Over on the boys' side, their season has already come to an end. They were knocked out in the second round of the playoffs by Lakota West over the weekend, 3-0. You look at the way things shake out, you finish 5-1-3 in the league to finish third overall in the ECC. This non-conference schedule, though, was a bear for your team. You wind up losing 7 of 9 in league play, and that's not any knock on your team. I think it's just to the quality of opponent that the team and the coaching staff scheduled this season to try to get you ready for the postseason. But we end with the loss to Lakota West. What did you make on the season of the fight from your team, knowing they were playing so many heavy hitters in the non-conference all year long? And do you anticipate going forward continuing to schedule as strong as they did this season?
Yeah, it was interesting. We run a split responsibility for our keeper this year between Sean Holenkamp and Dylan Schwinn. So that was very interesting. You don't see that very often. So, they were battling it out all year. They complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. And, and it worked for us when we needed it to. And, we struggled, again, much like on the girls' side, we struggled on putting the ball in the back of the net. We had some assists. We didn't have any big scores that we've had in the past. So that's something that, we weren't able to get in the stat book about. Holistically, we were good. We would use our sets, we would assist the ball, we'd get the ball. We had plenty of opportunities, we just couldn't put it back there. So, obviously a big win over Hamilton in the first round, a loss of Lakota West. It was just they were a faster team. They weren't any physical. We're a physical team. But they were able to, they had a score and they could put it in the back of the net, and they ended up with that victory. So, nothing to hang your head about. Again, ECC third overall. How do you get better during the season? Well, you do schedule those big time teams, and we've done that in the past. And, we were, back to back ECC champs, and that's a big reason why we were ECC champs, because we learned how to play at that level. So, we put that challenge up to these guys as well. And I think they did okay. We got better and better. But, we're going to continue to do that. I think our coaches understand that if you want to make it to the furthest possible out of Cincinnati, you have to schedule those teams, because you're going to see them again in the postseason. So get to know them, get to understand that level of competition, and compete. And I think all of our coaches across all of our programs do that. And that's why we have success in the postseason.
As you said, a very physical style of play doesn't make it easy on any opponent. And so every team that got the better of you, including Lakota West, really had to earn it. And so I think that's also the thing you can take forward is the fact that you didn't really give anything away on the season. Every team that able to beat you wound up having to earn it. And I'm sure earned a much higher level of respect for Loveland coming off the field, given that style of play. Let's talk about your volleyball team now. They are still going in the postseason right now. We're 13-10 overall in the year. They're going to get a always strong Seton program coming up tonight in the second round of the tournament, coming off of a 3-set sweep over Wilmington, 11-16 and 18 in the first round. I look at the depth of this program, though, Brian, and we've talked about with some of their other programs and the way we're set up for the future. Regardless of what happens against Seton, whether you're able to knock them off or they wind up eliminating you from the tournament, you're going to have 8 juniors back next year. And so I'm curious there how important for this program that stability will be going into the offseason as you try to build back up towards a conference champion level and try to get up there and challenge Lebanon, who's come in the last 2 years and taken the league by storm.
Yeah, a couple of good points you mentioned there. Yeah, we've gotten coach has done an outstanding job. It is a heavy junior class this year, and if you go and watch the game last week against Wilmington, everyone got off the bench, and it's really been like that with almost every game. Is everyone's getting off the bench, everyone is getting some minutes, so that when it comes time, to go against a Seton tonight, which I think is going to be an outstanding game this evening. I think it's a couple evenly matched. If we play our best, evenly matched teams, and I think we're going to have a great opportunity. We're going to have to play our best, but certainly, those sophomores, or I'm sorry, those juniors are strong. I think we have four seniors. And so that's going to continue to grow. The JV team is strong as well, and a lot of the same groups are in there. Lebanon was a very strong team. Kings on the other end, they've got some youth on their end too. So it's going to be a battle from here on out. Turpin is always strong. So, but I think, obviously we're going to grow that talent that we have our junior year, our juniors, to continue to make them take over the program and leave an exclamation point. But for this year, some key players for tonight's game: Audrey Planner on the serve, Faith Doherty on the assists, and then Kylie Eckert with the passes, our libero. I think those guys are going to have to play to the best of their ability. And the digs, Audrey and Kylie are going to have to dig it out. Nicole Nevin and Kate Krabach are going to have some good blocks. They're going to have to build that wall up front, and they're going to have to block it. And we're going to need Audrey and Nicole when it comes to kills. Everybody's going to have to play their best ball they played all season long. That's what it's about. That's the challenge. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be loud. I think we're going to pack the gym. So I can't wait for this evening and for these seniors in this program.
Yeah, not as much margin for error against the Seton team or anybody else that you see as you get deeper and deeper into the state tournament. So as you said, everybody's going to need to be at their best or as close to it as possible for this matchup. But nevertheless, as you said, still should be a very exciting match. Loveland versus Seton in the second round of the playoffs. Let's move on. Let's talk about your football team, Indir. Made some nice strides, I thought, this season, but unfortunately, this was as top heavy of an ECC as we have seen in quite some time. And of course, the way the schedule broke, you wind up finishing the year facing the 3 best teams in the ECC in the final 3 weeks of the year: Kings, Anderson, and Winton Woods, and ultimately unable to pull out wins there and ultimately wind up missing the playoffs as a result, especially this past weekend against Winton Woods. As tight of a game as you could ask for, and they wind up beating you in overtime 19-13. And you have to think, if you wind up winning that game, it might have been enough to vault you up to grab that last playoff spot and knock out Little Miami. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But as I said, a matchup against Turpin back in early September, I thought your team was the better team that night, but Turpin wound up getting the win there. A 3-point loss to Little Miami at the end of September, and as I said, the overtime loss to Winton Woods. There were some big steps taken forward here, I thought, by this team, and I don't think the record is necessarily going to indicate that. How do you evaluate this season in that perspective, as far as progressing in the ECC? And then ultimately, where do you go from here, knowing that you're losing Luca Aquilino, who wound up finishing second in the ECC in passing?
Yeah, those are all great points. Some of the things you look at is, what do the numbers look like? What's the trend of the numbers? And our numbers have grown, 9 through 12. We're up to almost, 100 kids right now, which has been down to below, to the high 50s just a few years ago. So that's one thing you look for is the number. The other thing you look for is the commitment in the offseason, what these guys are doing, how they're training, what the buy-in is like, what the culture is like. And Coach Cruz has done a great job with his staff to really improve the culture. It's where they want it now. And they're battling. That's the other thing you look at. Are these guys battling? Yes, you're looking at, it's 3 phases of the game. Our offense was really, they were strong. As you said, Luca Aquilino, receiving yards would have been Cam Delaney, Ethan Lund, and Bailey Jackson. I mean, those 4 right there are unbelievable, almost irreplaceable guys. You would obviously like them to hold them back for another year, but they're going to move on. And as high school football is, there's going to be another high school kid that's going to replace that. It might look a little bit different. You're going to use the strength of your team and what that will, and how you scheme it up. But certainly what they've done to the program is going to transcend to the rest of our guys. And we got a lot of good talent coming back as well. And another thing you look at is, there's 3 phases of the ball that, again, that Friday night could have gone either way, just like the other 2 games that you'd mentioned there. So there was 3 teams that we were ahead of in halftime, and we just couldn't, seal the deal. It's close to defense. That was the best lights out game they had played all season. So that is an improvement, because that was a weakness of ours that was continuing to grow. And they showed a lot of heart, a lot of pride, and a lot of skill on that Friday night. And we had our opportunities. We had plenty of opportunities to knock that out, and we didn't. And Win Woods, end up doing it in the end. But we were right there. So to your point, yes, a lot of improvement, still some places to go. But I'm proud that there was a never quit. There was always a fight. They never put their heads down. They battled through it, and I think they feel proud of how they've changed the culture over the past couple of years. And I'm so proud of those seniors. They just did an outstanding job. So hats off to them.
Absolutely, and especially in the grind of the ECC schedule. As I said, this is a very loaded league this season. So many different teams that have such a capability of making deep runs in the playoffs. And as we said, you were right there with a number of them and just missed out on the playoffs there. So, obviously a little disappointed with that, but as we said, also they were fighters this year, and that's as much of an accomplishment as anything else for sure. So as we're winding down here the episode, to recap things, we've won ECC championships in both boys and girls cross country, and we've talked about they just continue to break records, and you're going to have to, change a bunch of banners and things like that at Loveland. As we said, good problem to have. You also share the conference crown in girls soccer. We also saw top 3 finishes in boys soccer, tennis, and boys golf. So a lot of really, really strong results on the fall season. How would you categorize this fall season in totality, and also what are we looking forward to once the winter season gets going here soon?
Yeah, I haven't seen the numbers for our all sport trophy yet and where we fall in alignment with all the other ones. But I mean, 3 ECC titles, as you mentioned, a couple teams, obviously that all the teams have improved. Some are battled through, a couple numbers here and there that moved up or moved down. So it's pretty similar to what we always see in the fall. And I think that's pretty consistent. And there's lots of room for improvement. So that's outstanding. As we head into winter, we've got some, I know that Coach Parker and that girls basketball team, they are chomping at the bit. They're ready. They want to reclaim their ECC back-to-back title again for a triple crown on that. I'll throw out some names to you to watch out for: Rachel Yeager, Nia Kemper, Olivia Raby, Sophia Kapsakavage, Viv Clayton, and Jessie Early. A couple of those, as you've heard their names in this podcast earlier, but they are hungry. They've been at it all summer and fall. Most of them have. the ones that aren't in our fall sports. But Coach Parker is ready to move them. They're primed and ready to go. Boys basketball, again, we graduated a lot of kids last year. We're middle of the pack last year, so we got some youth and some inexperience coming up, but they've been working at it, so we're excited for that. Wrestlers, we're always at the top, one or two. We'll be battling for the top of that. We could easily walk away with an ECC title. Sawyer Bowen, Gavin Foles and Logan, Kristen Greater-X. Keep an eye out for Ty Harder and Brett Hogan. Those are the leaders coming back this year. They're going to make a big impact on wrestling, hopefully all the way into the state tournament, especially Ty, Brett. We'll see how that rolls out. Boys bowling, we're back at it again. Ended up second last year. Alton French, that's the guy to watch out for. He's a 3-year varsity returner. He'll be leading this team. New girls coach, Katie Swain. Yanni Cars is going to be her senior leader. So we are very excited for, her vision and what she's bringing to our girls bowling. She's going to grow that program. She's in-house here as a teacher. So really excited as well. New dive coach, Isaac Karn. To keep a watch out for Sydney Keel. She's going to be a senior diver. So I've had a lot of success here, and she'll be leading the team moving forward. Alex Lewis, our swim coach. Give a shout out to Evan Lucas. He is ready to go. So keep an eye on him. Our quiz team led by Ian Klingler. We had a lot of youth that are coming up. They're ready to compete. They're practicing their thumbs for the buzzer. New dance coach, Kira Cook. We have not had a dance team last year. She has taken over and really fun to watch. We're going to compete this year at our ECC cheer and dance. And I can't leave out our cheer competitive, Emily Masters and Katie Samin, who have been working with our competitive cheer team. Been practicing all summer and throughout the fall. So, hey, we don't skip a beat here at Loveland. All of our coaches, working with our kids, trying to pull the best out of them and empower them to be the best they can be, and just continuing on with the Tiger tradition. So we're as we phase out of fall here, I hope it goes all the way till the 6th of November. That is the state championship date. I'm fully outfitted with my gear to stand in the rain and in the mud, ready to support our Tigers. And I'm looking forward to the always 70 degrees and sunny on the inside of the gymnasium.
Can't ask for much more here each and every time we convene here on the podcast, and we're putting a bow here on the fall. You just got a really good preview of the winter sports season. We're going to talk about all that and more coming up here in very short order when the winter sports season gets rolling. But right for now, our thanks once again to Loveland AD Brian Conatser joining us one more time as we wrap up the fall sports season on the Inside Loveland Tigers Athletics podcast here on lovelandtigers.org and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.